The Supreme Court has ruled that the Christian owners of a bakery in Belfast did not breach the law when they refused to bake a cake decorated with a message supporting same-sex marriage. The judgment overturns two previous rulings that found that Asher's Bakery had discriminated against the customer. Emma Vardy was in court.
It's 4 years since gay rights activist Gareth Lee walked into this Belfast bakery to place an order. His purchase of a cake became a bitter legal row over the extent to which businesses can refuse to promote political views. The cake was to be iced with the message, "Support gay marriage." Today, the Supreme Court ruled that the bakery's refusal to take that order did not amount to discrimination.
This court has held that nobody should be forced to have or express a political opinion in which he does not believe.
The bakery's owners had previously been sued for discrimination and had lost their subsequent appeal. A decision of the UK's highest court to overturn previous rulings marks a hard-fought vindication of their views.
We did not turn down this order because of the person who made it, but because of the message itself. The judges have given a clear signal today. In fact, it couldn't be clearer. Family businesses like ours are free to focus on giving all their customers the best service they can without being forced to promote other people's campaigns.
The customer, Gareth Lee, spoke of his disappointment at seeing the judgment overturned.
I paid my money was taken, and then a few days later it was refused based upon the beliefs of the business owners. That made me feel like a second-class citizen, and the judgment today tells me that that's okay. I'm concerned not just for the implications for myself or other gay people, but for every single one of us.
The Supreme Court judges said that the conclusions reached today were not intended to diminish the need to protect people who are gay from discrimination, saying it would be an affront to human dignity to refuse someone a service based on their sexual orientation, but that was not what had happened in this case. The original cake cost just £36. The legal bills are now more than £200,000. Emma Vardy, BBC News at the Supreme Court.
Well, I'm joined to discuss this by legal affairs correspondent Clive Coleman. Clive, this is an absolutely fascinating case, isn't it, legally? What was at the heart of this judgment, do you think?
Well, it was about discrimination, and it was about whether the discrimination was discriminating against Mr. Lee because of his sexual orientation or not. And at the heart of the ruling, the court have found that, no, it wasn't discrimination against Mr. Lee as an individual. The whole case really revolved around the message, support gay marriage. And in effect, what the court found is that, you know, if anyone, the Archbishop of Canterbury had gone into that shop and asked for a cake that was iced with those words, support gay marriage, they would have been treated in exactly the same way. So there was no discrimination against Mr. Lee as a person. Indeed, Asher's, the company, make clear that they have gay customers and that they employ gay people. There was another very interesting argument here that was put forward on behalf of Mr. Lee, that you couldn't really disassociate the way he was treated with the fact that he was gay. Now, here again, that argument failed because the court found that effectively the words support gay marriage, they're not limited to gay or bisexual couples that support that message. Their relatives, friends, members of the wider community who see the benefits of gay marriage also support that. So again, there was no discrimination against Mr. Lee as an individual. His other argument was that he was being discriminated against on the basis of his religious or political views. And here I think is where it really gets interesting, because what the court effectively said here is that as a service provider, you can't have, if you like, forced upon you a message with which you profoundly disagree and with which you could become associated. So I think this opens the door, although many people will say that's great, that's a victory for freedom of speech and ideas. On the other hand, what if you walk into a bakery and say, you know, I want a cake that says, you know, Happy Bar Mitzvah, for instance. Can the baker say, well, you know, I disagree with fundamental ideas at the heart of Judaism, so I'm not going to bake that cake for you? What about support fox hunting or support Brexit? So I think it does open up an area of debate here, and I think there will be more cases that test sort of the boundaries in this area.
So a lot of consequences, really, of this judgment.
I think so, yeah.
And just as a footnote, I mean, this has cost hundreds of thousands of pounds in terms of legal costs. all about a cake which I think originally cost £36.50.
Yes, this is probably the most expensive cake in legal history, but the issues at the heart of this are very important. You're balancing really the rights of an individual who feels that they've been discriminated against the rights of service providers to hold fast to beliefs that they profoundly believe in.
All right, Clive, thank you very much indeed. Clive Coleman, our legal correspondent.